Okay, we'll go ahead and start our weekly press conference. And at this time, we'll let Commissioner Fund lead off, and she's got some information that she would like to share.
Yes. We three commissioners are forming a Lewis County Blue Ribbon Task Force on the administrative management review of our county. So the mission of this group is to recommend the administrative and management structure which advances the goals of the commissioners. And we have appointed the following people: Tony Briggs, Larry McGee, Anil Puri, Lonnie Willie, and Lee Gross to conduct a 6-week study. And we've asked Steve Walton to be the staffer for that. So there's been discussions way back about the structure of county government. There's a lot of different variances within Washington State in terms of how government is structured, in terms of county manager, in terms of a council, in terms of different variations of that. So we're conducting this task force review with these individuals, so after the 6 weeks, we could have a review and they could tell us what they found. Any other additions?
No.
Any other questions about that? I know you probably just got the information, so you're thinking about it, so.
Okay.
Sure, come on up.
Can you tell me, maybe I missed it as I was frantically trying to take notes, but why is it that the county has commissioned the group?
Well, this has been under discussion for a number of years, and lately there have been some other folks who've brought this to our attention. There was another group that had been discussing. I was invited to a meeting where folks were discussing this. Other folks have mentioned it throughout the years, so we believe it's time to do a fresh look at this and have people in there that could, have the time in and have had some management experience to take a look at the various structures throughout the counties. Counties are a different breed of cities. Having sat on Centralia City Council and knowing the breadth and the width of this, what happens in a city versus a county where we have a 24-hour jail, where we have large spans of land, that it takes on a different world for all of us in many different areas. When I've read some things about, well, the county has a lot of claims or those kind of things. Well, the nature of counties is different, so we have that. However, having sat on Centralia City Council, I know there's claims there too. I've seen them and reviewed them. So having some people just look at county and what other agencies or what other counties are doing.
So it's looking at the benefits of having a manager and then the council versus commission. Is that basically it?
Yes. Take a look at the whole sphere. If you look at the map, most of the councils are from bigger places. Clallam County is probably an anomaly of that. There's some places that were a 5-person council and moved to 3 council members, that have some that have come in and went out, some that have tried it or put it on the ballot, didn't work. I mean, it's very complicated. And as people know, our budget's pretty complicated. When you look at 77 different accounts we have, that, this needs a pretty thorough review from a group that can say, okay, we agree this. As we've said, some of the things that we'd like them to do is to review our current structure, see how we're managed, compare our structure with other comparable counties, interview other Washington State County commissioners and council members, and identify the best practices.
Okay. When will the task force get going, and will it have meetings that the public can attend and participate in?
And our staffer will be working with those individuals and putting that
Okay,
together.
so they just aren't scheduled yet?
No, no.
Okay,
We
okay.
we just verified everybody could be on it, so.
Okay, sounds
We
great.
wanted to have a good representation.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I can get that in there
Yes.
if it's ready yet.
Yes.
And then also, just for my purposes, do you have a list that I might be able to get of those members, just so I
I think
can?
we've got a document she can give
Okay,
you.
cool.
Just put
Well,
it
that's
together
all I
today.
had. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Aren't you glad we asked you to stay?
Susan, step up.
Susan Delaire, Duval Publishing. You indicated that there's been a group that has been having discussions like this prior to this. Are any of those members part of this task force?
Larry McGee.
Yeah.
Larry McGee. Okay, thank you. I would also like to get a copy of the
It's coming out,
list.
yes.
Thanks.
Ron Averill from Centralia area and former county commissioner. I think this is a grand idea, and I'm glad you're using Rotary so well. Three of your members are members of Twin Cities Rotary. And incidentally, what I'm talking about, that I have tickets to our auction that's coming up on the 12th of May.
Okay.
You know, the organization of counties has probably been discussed more in the state of Washington than anything else. As our current county commissioners are probably aware, you know, when two of them are together, they're an official body, and therefore, you know, if you follow the rules of public disclosure and public meetings, they virtually can't talk to each other without forming a quorum. I remember back in about 2009 or 2010, we were, in those days, as counties often are, concerned about where we were going to get money and best practices. And of course, you virtually had two choices. You either followed the RCW in Chapter 36 for the formation, which is currently the three county commissioners until you reach a 250,000 population, and then you can go to 5. Or you could go to home rule. And interestingly, in home rule, there are currently 6 counties in the state of Washington with home rule, and everyone's different. And the reason for that is that the home rule is a long process. You have to elect 15 to 20 electors, and then they come up with a charter, and then the charter's got to be approved. And I can name 3 counties around us that have tried home rule and failed when they came up with the charters. So in this 2009 or 2010 era, we asked the legislature to form a committee to look at some changes that could be made in counties. They came up with some terrific things. I mean, I would recommend that you pull out some of that documentation from that era and give it to this workforce to look at.
They have a file. Yep.
Because some of the things that they recommended were great. Unfortunately, it died in committee. It didn't get out. But it would have allowed for more commissioners. If they wanted it, they not force them to it. It allowed to. I think, Edna, there's about 18 counties that have a quote county manager, if you will. And
some are in a council, some are in a commission.
Right, some are
So
councils.
it's varied.
It's all varied, but when you only have 6 on home rule, it's obvious that there are some that are statute counties that have county managers, and all of those are appointed, because only in home rule counties can a county manager or county executive be elected. So it's really an issue that's worthy of looking at in terms of streamlining, and I wish the group great success in looking at it, and would ask that you use open minds as we go toward this step, because we might find a solution that will really help us.
It might be a hybrid of all of it.
Yes, it might be a hybrid, that's correct.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? CJ?
Janier with from Packwood. I just want to remind the commissioners, as you're out and about, and anyone else out in the communities, we are still looking for people to help with the fair, and we've at the Puyallup Fair for the fair booth for Lewis County, and it would be a shame for communities not to be represented by their different organizations or governments. So I would really encourage people to contact me.
So could we maybe get a list of people who have signed up already and,
I can. It's very small right now, so, but yes, I will send that to you.
okay, good. So we can start, we have mentioned it obviously, but, and I know it's only spring, but pretty soon it's going to be summer.
It's gonna come
It's gonna be
quick,
fair
yeah.
time. So yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to talk about the transportation, East County, all that? Going to city councils? Sorry, I just thought of something.
Ed is doing that a lot this morning, by the way. It started in our first meeting, so. As many of you probably know, there was an article recently in the Chronicle talking about Twin Transit, Rob LaFontaine moving towards possibly putting a ballot measure maybe later this fall or in the winter to create a transportation district that would be county-wide. The reason that we're looking at this, and I serve on the board of Twin Transit, is that Lewis Mountain Transit in the east side are at a place now where they've changed the grant funding on this considerably, where it used to be a nonprofit only had to pay, I believe it was 5%. 5% they only had to match 5% of the grant. Well, the legislature changed that, so now they're pushing it up every year until they get it to a 50% match. And Lewis Mountain Transit is a small company, and they cannot afford to do that. And so they are looking at literally shutting their doors on June the 30th of 2019. And so Twin Transit has taken this under consideration, and we want to help them maintain that transit system because it's very important and very vital to the people on the east side. Well, from there, we've got a bigger vision, and we want to look at what would this look like if we took this countywide, where we could service all points in the county, east side, west side, south side. At our recent mayor's meeting, the idea was presented by Rob LaFontaine from Twin Transit, and we found some favorable comments from that. Tonight, Rob and I and Commissioner Stamper will be in Toledo to meet with the Toledo City Council to discuss this further, just to see where this idea might go. In the big picture that I've kind of got in my head is that if we can create a countywide transit system, it lends itself to so many other things that we'll be able to do. Folks that do not have traditional means of transportation will suddenly have ways to be able to get to town, get to their doctors. If we have an emergency event, which we have here because of weather, the possibility exists of transporting people from one point to another with a countywide transit system in order to take care of their needs, whether they're physical or anything else. But there's also another component. It also aids tourism in this area. For people that may not be able to, again, get to certain points in the county, they can hop on the bus and take off to Packwood or whatever point they might like to get to for a small fee. This is all long-range planning, but we're beginning the process right now, and as we move forward, we'll try to have more information about all that to bring to the public.
Susan Delaird of All Publishing. I just wanted to remind you that we did have an article in the East County Journal on April 12th about the same thing, since a lot of that pertained to the East County.
Thank you.
I beg your humble pardon, Mrs. Delaire. I am sorry about that. Yes, thank you.
And I do think probably this discussion probably started when we met with Rob on several occasions, because I know that it was brought to our attention that the services were going to be basically halted in 1919 or 2019. So, and again, being a former principal up in that neck of the woods, so to speak, it was very important that we start looking at this, and because it's not only people that need access to Centralia and Chehalis, but also Morton, which I'll remind everyone, it's 34 miles from Packwood to Morton. So it's not like it's, it's just a nice walk. And again, there's students involved, Centralia College East, and also that would probably give them a little more flexibility if they wanted to use the opportunity for also to come out to Centralia College. So the main campus. So there's a lot of opportunity, and more importantly than anything else, I think, is just the fact that the Mountain Transit has provided a very, very important link to that region, and we need. I think that Rob LaFontaine, to his credit, is seeing the big picture here. So very much appreciated, and I think that we'll continue to work. We'll get lots of input from people, and we'll see what happens. Well, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you.
You are invited to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature in all four corners of Lewis County, Washington. From our fields to your table, farms in the west share their bounty. Limitless landscapes, forests and mountains beg to be explored in the east. Fish our many rivers and lakes in the south, and discover where history and culture intersect in our twin cities. Explore it all by visiting our Facebook page and plan your next getaway at discoverlewiscounty.com. Culture, history, and adventure all come alive when you discover Lewis County.